No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense.
They say many garbage things.
You don't know what you're going to get.
Melodrama upon melodrama!
This is a totally
Shameful, disgraceful piece of nonsense!
He was balls off it yesterday.
You'll learn a lot more if you listen rather than talk all
Plenty
the
of
time.
airtime, no problem.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast. Champions League final review, season review. It's all coming to an end, Will. On this bank holiday Monday, June bank holiday Monday. We left it a bit late. Maybe we've really let the dust settle. There's not even like a pigment of dust still floating around. It's completely settled. We know where everything is, where it stands, and
it's time to tell.
It is. That's time to tell for sure. What was that? What did we just watch? I guess the best place to start is, recency bias, the most recent thing, the Champions League final. Wow. I mean, an unforgettable game. If I wanted to describe it as something that implies something else, I would say an unbelievable performance.
Yeah.
That's also true. What else? A lot of goals.
This sounds like the best final ever, Carl.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I was thinking about this, that like the Champions League, they're trying their best to kind of push it into like the Super Bowl type thing of like an event, and there's like a whole festival that weekend. That's why I guess they moved it from the Wednesday. Well, it was on midweek, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that it was? Now it's a weekend. It's a festival thing. It's a whole big thing. Everyone comes and kills each other on the streets. It's great, But I'm assuming this is because people who aren't into football are looking at this going, "This is a bit boring, isn't it?" We need to we need to make this more boring. This football isn't actually good at all. It's like, that's because you don't like football. You're an event manager. You're coming. Just the utter like disdain these people have for the game. Like, we get Linkin Park up there. Come on, like
Linkin Park.
That's what people want to see.
New metal month. We were so ahead of the curve. If you would have told people back in whatever that was, September, October, Linkin Park are going to play the Champions League final, you'd said, no, they're not. I'm pretty sure they don't exist anymore. Look at us now. We started it all and it snowballed. Creed next year.
I think so. I mean, honestly, just like the Super Bowl, they don't do the most current band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, was it a couple of years ago they had 50 Cent and Eminem? It was like, that's because the highest earners are now the people who used to listen to Eminem and 50 Cent back in, the early 2000s. Like, Linkin Park is like 25 years ago they were big. It's like, yeah, that's who's rich now. Yeah. They're the ones who are going to go to the Champions League final. They're the ones who want to see.
They're the
Linkin
sponsors
Park.
that are in the seats, who, again, as we've just discussed, don't really care for football too much. It's like, yeah, that sounds fun.
No.
And then when they're watching it, like you said, they must be watching thinking, this can't be it. This can't be what everyone's talking about all the time.
Yeah, well, they're the CEOs now. People are like, I got to go to this fucking event on a Saturday of all things, and it's a Champions League final. And then they hear, oh my God, is that Linkin Park? Oh my God, is that Numb? Is it being Numb?
Hell yeah, dude.
All right. I might cover this next year. This. I'm enjoying this now because I don't like football. This is the thing. But yeah, I mean, the football itself, I think most people would have probably backed PSG. There's always the kind of sense like, well, it's a final, it's always going to be tight. I don't know if you saw the Champions League Instagram. It's very funny now because it's all, as the comments say, aged like milk. It's all like, Inter Milan have been behind for 17 minutes for this entire Champions League. They have some unbelievable defensive record. They kept bringing up their defensive stats. I think Lautaro Martinez has been man the match 4 times in the Champions League, the second most of any player. All these kind of like hyping up Inter Milan, which does go a distance to be like, well, maybe, I mean, they have a lot of experience, and Thuram's a good player.
I think.
From what I hear on Instagram, these guys are pretty good. And I think I saw they do all the celebrities like Roberto Carlos and Figo, who I think are like cryogenically frozen.
Yeah.
Every year, and then reanimated for the Champions League final. Yeah. They love it. They hold up the placards. It's like 2-1 PSG. Roberto Carlos 3-2 PSG. He was like, whoa, this guy's going crazy with it. You know,
You think
no one
there's
said, yeah, it's
5 goals in this final?
no one wrote 5-0 in brackets, could be 7, should be definitely 6. You know, like, you just don't get that in finals. It was so one-sided. I really couldn't believe it.
I mean, it started with right from kickoff PSG. You see it all the time where the players lump it kind of just into a dangerous area, get some territory, the other team has to throw it out, and you start the game right up on them. But this is the first time I've ever seen that happen, and then where the other team could not leave that area for the rest of the game. They were pinned in from the first second, and that was it. That was the whole game then. It was amazing.
I was trying to think of a one-sided final, not even Champions League, just any final that was as one-sided. And it was actually a reel that I saw today that reminded me of it, to be fair. I don't have that much ball knowledge, but the game that I thought of was the Euro 2012 final, Spain versus Italy.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Was the France-Croatia final, didn't they kind of hockey them in that World Cup final as well?
Yeah, maybe, but I didn't see a reel about that, Will. I saw a reel about
true,
this.
We'll have to wait.
You know? So I was trying to like draw the comparisons between, like, you know, it was obviously an Italian team. It was Italy themselves. And at the start of that tournament, it was the same thing, because I think it was between the 2006, it was the end of 2006 team. Remember they did so poorly in the 2010 World Cup, and a lot of those players, Cannavaro and those lads, you know, had retired afterwards, and they're kind of in between teams. They had a few, had Pirlo, and then Balotelli was all right, you know. He was actually quite good that year, but, you know, it was like no one really expecting to go very far. But they got the final by beating Germany, just like Inter Milan beat Bayern Munich, you know. I was like, well, maybe, you know, it's a final. You know, it's Italy, for God's sake. And then just like 4-0, and it never really looked. Now, it was a different side, of course. That Spain team just was at the peak of their like passing people to death abilities. But that's what it kind of reminded me, that Italy just couldn't get a kick of the ball that day. And this was the same thing. Like, Inter Milan really couldn't get out of their half. They were kind of, they had a few set pieces and half chances, but like they never really, you know, got anything going on it at all.
No, like to the point where PSG were so on top of them, and they were pressing them so hard and constantly winning the ball back. I put it in our group chat. It was the first time I've thought this in a long time now, since, I don't know, maybe 2 World Cups ago was the last time I thought it. I was watching that game and I was thinking, this PSG team, I feel like there's going to be some scandal about them in a few years being on some kind of performance-enhancing drugs, because it's like they did not stop winning the ball back. It was crazy.
Yeah, this is again like the Illuminati thing. It's like, it's not a secret group of people, Will. It's the people who are very publicly in charge, who are running everything. The scandal is they spent $2 billion in the last decade. That's the scandal. I mean,
it finally worked. Yeah.
Yeah, and like by mistake, like they lost Mbappé. And I think at the start of this season, we're like, oh, what the fuck do they do now? You know, they absolutely peaked with like Messi and Neymar, Mbappé, Ramos, Donnarumma. It was like, they've done it. This is the best team ever assembled, and it completely failed. And then it was like, I guess we have Dembélé, who's like just a choker and not very good. We can all agree that Dembélé's after Barcola, a worse version.
Who the hell is,
you know?
Desiree Doué, for God's sake?
Well, this is the thing. This is the kind of the narrative that people are spinning, that like this is like a feel good story. You know, Yao Neves and Desiree Doué, who they bought this year, Will, for 50 million and 60 million apiece, making them the 7th and 5th most expensive teenagers in history. They did pretty. This is their youth academy. You know what I mean? The youth guy was the guy who scored at the end, who had the best celebration I think I've ever seen in any game, where he just did the high knees. Disbelief, absolute disbelief.
Yeah, he literally couldn't even believe he was playing. Never mind scoring. He was just so happy to be there.
Yeah, and like they bought in Neves, and who got relegated to the bench? Zaire Emery. That is the guy they produced.
Yeah,
you know. So I mean, like, it's not a feel good story. It's a team that spent billions, literal billions, versus a team that made 100 million in profit in the last transfer window, Inter Milan.
Yeah, again, like a team, we joke about it and everyone kind of mentions it, but a team that does have Henrik Mkhitaryan still starting, it's not because Henrik Mkhitaryan is one of the greatest players of all time. It's because it's like, we'll eventually replace him, but there's bigger fires to put out every year. We'll eventually get to him.
He's a guy, you know, we always say this, where it's one of the worst fates for defensive midfielders. Like, listen, our right back's injured. Can you do a job and mark one of the best wingers in the world tonight in the Champions League semi-final? Like, it always happens. Like, Mkhitaryan's been doing a job for the last 3 years as a defensive midfielder. I know you're like kind of a tricky number 10 and you're 37, but can you just like kind of, it's fine. You'll have Can Ugly, who's the exact same thing. Used to be number 10, but he's also playing like a 6 now.
He's even further back. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah. Don't worry. He's got Bastoni back there. He's a beast. You know, he'll cover everything. It's incredible that they got this far, really. You know, like the Barcelona game was an incredible game for many reasons. But I mean, you know, would Barcelona PSG been a better game? Maybe they would have been a bit more worried about Yamal and Rafinha. I don't know. But I mean, yeah, I think in hindsight, Inter Milan would have preferred kind of a valiant kind of, oh, we just lost by 1 goal in the best semi-final tie ever, you know. I think they wish they were Barcelona in that one. Like, oh, look, nothing you can do. Just an epic game.
Yeah.
And the prize is the biggest humiliation probably in their history, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's like what happens with like Arsenal, say, who comfortably finished like second league. You know, they did totally fine. But because Spurs won a trophy, it's like they actually had a disaster of a season. And their stock has never been lower. Do you know what I mean? And now it's like Inter. They were in the Champions League final. But after that game, I know me personally, I've never thought Inter Milan are worse in my life. I thought they were awful.
But I mean, like, I think we did get carried away a little bit with the kind of maybe just a final, and that I think getting the final 2 years ago against City,
yeah,
which they were close,
yeah,
you know, like I think between I don't know how many players from that 2018 Man United team there is between Napoli and Inter Milan, but like there's a few. I didn't like that was the same 2 years ago when Lukaku was missing those chances. It was like, well, if Lukaku scored those chances, it could have been a very different game. You kind of thought, well, they were good 2 years ago. They're even older now.
They haven't replaced anyone.
This is like, I know we'll get into the season review later on, but I mean, I think just people don't really watch football.
Yeah.
You know, I think they just kind of go with like, they need someone to tell them who's good, who's bad, you know. And like Inter Milan are decent and experienced. Go, okay, I can go with that. That makes sense to me. I think I'll just repeat that in my group chat. You know,
there's a great example.
That's what it was.
I'm sure you saw the videos that everyone's been sharing. Napoli won the league. They did it, and for the last week, 10 days, has just been videos of Scott McTominay being paraded out in front of various fireworks and just being like, "He's God here. He's as good as Maradona." Like, no way any of us Premier League pilled people had any idea that was going on over there. I know he was scoring goals and stuff, but we didn't think he was the player of the season in the whole league.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Anthony thing. You see a couple of goals, think, well, that's just because he played for Man United. How good is he going? You know, but I think Anthony scored more goals than Vinicius or something in the league since January, something kind of mad at that. So, but look, we're getting sidetracked. We got to give PSG some respect here. Will they were very, very good. You know, they started extremely well, just like Spain did in 2012. Thanks, that reel I saw. But I mean, there's always like you start off, we score 2 goals in 20 minutes. Just, I mean, psychologically, kind of like, oh, well, we have this in the back. You know, we're going to win this easily.
It can go either way, though. It can go like you can score 2 and you go, okay, well, we don't need to take any more risks now. They're not going to score 3 goals, and that's when you do. I get the most dangerous lead in football, that classical cliche.
Yeah.
You concede 1, and then you start panicking. Does make a lot more sense. Just go, why don't we just keep scoring? Why don't we just keep doing it? I think more teams should try that. If you're 2-0 up, you could probably be 5-0 up.
Well, that's it. There was like at the smallest bit of a lull that you might be able to kind of, you know, if with the right kind of eyes, you know, you might be able to see. I think Inter kind of got a bit of the ball there. That's when they got the half chances and the you know, the set pieces and stuff. And it was like, there's a couple of half chances that, like, I think there's one corner that Thuram got, and it was like near it, but like it just got a flash wide. One is wondering he should do better. They always say, you know, it's like, well, that's something. You know, again, 2-1, they panic. It's a young team. It's a very young team. Will you know? Maybe I'm just willing this final to come in something, but like it just didn't last long. They never got on top. But that is when you know, this young, exciting team started a house on fire. And yeah, they a half lull, a half chances, but then they got right back on top. Was it 3-0 for halftime, or was it 2-0?
I think it was 3-0. I could be wrong, but I do remember coming into halftime thinking, this is so over. Like, there's no way.
Yeah. The sense was that it was over before even. I think it was maybe it was the second half. I think it was when Çalhanoğlu got a chance to. Again, it was a set piece. Like, well, they're good in the air. Italian team, defenders, blah blah. And he just kicked it right over the end line. I was like, man, like. You're the older statesman here. You're not the one who should be nervous. This is like one of the few chances you're going to get, and you've like missed everybody. I mean, not that like it's easy to do that, but like it really needs to be perfect today. You're 2 goals down. You're living off scraps. This needs to be on someone's forehead right now, and it just like missed everyone. Didn't really come close. I was like, yeah. Well, maybe we'll catch them on the counter. Like, no, you're not. Like
they're faster than you.
That was a chance.
Even if you counter them, the PSG players will catch you. They're all young and quick. They're so young. Like, it's funny coming into the game. That was the talk. And during the game, some of the commentators were saying as well, it's like, look, it is a very young team. I think it has an average age of like 23 or something. And I'd imagine
24. Yeah. Youngest average winning age ever or something like that.
And like, if you think, I think Marquinhos is 31, but he probably bumps it up a good bit. Like, but because of that, people coming in were talking about like, oh, they might not have the experience, or the occasion might be too big.
Yeah.
No, it just meant they were younger, faster, and fitter than all the other slow old men that were out there.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I mean, you make up these kind of stories of like things you've seen before, but I just think that, and like there was experience and calmness and exuberant youth and all that. But I mean, I think the gap in quality kind of overrided all that. Which I'm sure, like the PSG players were a bit nervous. I'm sure the Inter Milan players were thinking of the final they're in 2 years ago. Most same team was, but when you step out on the pitch and they're just that good and that fast. I mean, the first goal, it was unbelievably easy looking. Like I was like, that has to be offside. There's no way he's in that much space in the middle of the goal with the keeper nowhere near. Like there has to be something wrong with this. And I mean, look, the non-celebration. It really illustrates how easy it was. Like he had the time to think, I mean, think of the social team here, Hakimi. Do I want them to have to sift through hate comments as I post a picture of this, as I post a picture of me lying in the bed of the Champions League final trophy, which I definitely will do maybe. No, I think the team would appreciate if I didn't celebrate now because it's more work for them, I think I'll just a muted celebration for this. Like, he wasn't carried away. It was like, oh my God, we scored. It was like so inevitable. It was like, yeah, of course I scored. Now, what do I do with the celebration?
Yeah, he was. I don't know, by the way, if you saw the clip. We talked about in the semi-final of this weird thing that they're trying where David Beckham sits with various famous people who've never watched football and he does a watch along with them. Yeah. Tom Cruise is on this one. I don't know if you saw the clip of David Beckham explaining to Tom Cruise what a muted celebration is and why the player wasn't going mad.
Oh my God.
Again, like we said, you bring these people in who don't know football and you're like, this is the biggest game there is, the biggest occasion. And then the player scores. Like, why isn't he celebrating? He thinks it's kind of disrespectful and he knows they're going to win. So why am I watching this at all? The players don't want to celebrate.
Well, I've never really seen Tom Cruise as a sports guy even.
No.
So this concept must be completely alien to him. Like, to have to explain this to him.
That we've known each other, and Tom's such a big sports enthusiast. So he loves all sports, but he's always been a big fan of football, and he's been such a huge supporter of me. For a long time.
So
coming to the games.
7 win with Real Madrid. I went to that match to see you win.
Yeah,
La Liga.
So winning La Liga, Tom was there.
So he called me. He's like, "This is my show. You want to come here and do it?" I was like, "Okay, what have you got? What have you got me into?"
I was like, "You're not very busy. Can you just come along?" Is it the last Mission Impossible?
It's called The Final Reckoning.
Come on.
30 years.
You can do one more.
30 years. You got to look at it. I'll show you. Look. Here's the thing. I'll show you this clip.
I mean, it'd be like explaining something very niche with like actors unions to me. Like, hang on, so why can't he do that? Well, it's a SAG thing, which is an organization. Like, it's like you'd have to explain all the elements that build up to this. Like, it's an unwritten rule. It's like what? Okay, why? Tell me everything that I need to know about this in a watch along. I mean, which is also kind of the. Like with the event organizers for the Champions League final, who probably I'm assuming aren't football people, are like, we need to get some music going on here. This is boring as fuck. Like, people are like, what's popular these days? Watch-alongs. All right, well, we'll do that. It's like, why are they? What's a watch-along? It's like, well, someone famous, watches. We'll get Tom Cruise and Dave Beckham. Perfect. It's like, no.
Well, they're not going to have any chemistry. Yeah, they're not entertaining at all.
Like, we know the name Dave Beckham, but like we've no like symbiotic relationship with David Beckham. Where like we've grown up as friends via a YouTube screen. It's like we just know him as the celebrity. We've no connection to Dave Beckham, and Tom Cruise even less. He's the Mission Impossible guy.
Tom Cruise is an interesting one to get on the watch line though, because I definitely have a bit of like morbid curiosity of like, wow, that must have been awful. Like I want to see, because like Tom Cruise to me is like an alien of a man. It's like it's like sitting him down and getting him to experience what being a normal human is like for 90 minutes. It's a very funny idea.
But that's it. It's just like, they've looked at the numbers. It's like, well, Tom Cruise is one of the most famous people in the world. Who wouldn't want to watch football with Tom Cruise? It's like, yeah.
I wouldn't in real life. That'd be awful.
For the story, maybe. If like, you know who I watch Champions League final with? You'll never guess it, lads. You'll never, no. Tom Cruise. Yeah, no, not the leash cruises. The other one, the celebrity Tom Cruise. Yeah, like it's like you have to feel some kind of connection to them or like get their inside jokes. It's just like two strangers, one of which is like he's there to promote the Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah,
that's why he's there.
You going to talk us through it?
Yeah, I'll talk you through that. This is basically us. We shoot the rehearsals on this particular one. It took decades to be able to figure this out. I'm transferring from one thing to the next. Obviously, I climbed down from that helicopter. The things that I have to know are, I'm a helicopter pilot. I have to understand that. I understand this. What the pilot is doing underneath me. I'm watching that propeller so it doesn't hit me or the helicopter above. And you can see when you see the movie, on this particular thing, we're shooting the rehearsals.
Yeah, immediate red flag for any watch along is like, that guy has a movie out this week.
How about this for a pop quiz, Will? That's what the Americans say. Pop quiz, hot chat.
Yeah.
I think that's Top Gun, is it? Maybe.
Sure. One of the greatest white boy sayings, though, definitely. It's up there.
Pop quiz, hot chat. Or is there more goals in the Champions League final or more Mission Impossibles?
Oh, great question. Are we including the originals before? Like, it's technically a remake.
Mission Impossible's remake.
So I think there's a Mission Impossible from like the set. I could be wrong now. I could be making this up. But I think there's from the 70s.
Yeah.
And then now there's Tom Cruise.
Sorry. You know what, Will? You're right to clarify. I'll clarify the question. Is there more goals in this Champions League final or Tom Cruise Mission Impossibles?
Oh, this is a great question. I feel like there's more Mission Impossibles. They've been going a long time.
Well, it's easy to break down. We know how many goals there was in the Champions League final. You just have to think, how many Mission Impossibles have I not seen? And then add up the ones.
It's at least 7, I think.
Well, there's 7 come out, and this will be the 8th installment because it's like, Ghost Protocol Part 1, Ghost Protocol Part 2. Yeah. I think this is Dead Reckoning 1, and then this is the Final Reckoning. So he's broken them up into like, Book 1 and Book 2 kind of. So a lot of Mission Impossible is almost as many goals for PSG. Yeah, I suppose the star of the game was that man, Desiree Doué. I mean, he is unbelievable. He like Mbappé, when he scored those goals in the World Cup finals, like, okay, now he's a superstar.
He's the guy.
Now I know World Cup is bigger. But the whole kind of thing of like, we need to just get rid of the egos, the superstars, the hotshots. We just needed a team who worked back. And there was a great moment there at the end, which it is easier, from experience when you're a Hammer team to track back. When Dumfries was going on one of his trademark runs towards the end to get a consolation goal, and Kvaratskhelia said, "Not on my watch." And he ran back and it's like, oh, that's what sums up the team. That's what sums up the team. Just hardworking players. But Doué, right? Scored 2 goals in Champions League final. He's 19. He is now going to be a superstar. Like, he's going to be him versus Yamal, Ronaldo versus Messi. You can see it like written already. Next season, he's going to be like, you know who I am? I don't track back. Give me the fucking ball. Because everyone's saying like, oh, they could go again next year. They're so young. They could dominate for the next 10 years. And I'm looking like, no chance. You know, they're all superstars now. Even Kvaratskhelia, who was a big player, but like now he's PSG, he's Champions League winner. You know, he's done Italy, he's done it in France. You know, you can, like he had a very. He's not like, even on the day he got a haircut for the final. You could say he wasn't as shaggy as he was.
Yeah.
But he like went into the barbers and said, "Can I just get a haircut? Like, there's no fade, there's no
whatever you
just
think.
like this, but like shorter, you know, like,
just a tidy up, yeah,
yeah, just shape it up there a bit, you know. Like we'll see next year if he comes out with, if he bleaches his hair, it's over for him.
It's over,
you know.
And,
he's gone big time.
I mean, it's mad to see how quickly it changes. Where like we never even got the Mbappe Haaland era that it seemed like was bound to happen, where it's like, yes, Ronaldo, Messi.
Yeah.
It's skipped them. It's gone straight to Doué and Yamal now this season, it feels like. I mean, Yamal didn't get all the way to Champions League final, but his stock is fucking higher than ever, it feels like. Doué in the last 3 Champions League games has just burst onto the scene as he's the new guy as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it like I said, it seems written in the stars now. It's like, yep, there we go. 2 guys, they're the same age, I think, or roughly same position, whatever, do the same stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's a perfect match. Like, I think we'll be seeing a lot of that, and I think because of that, like you said, maybe not next season, but I'd say Doué is on a fast track to Real Madrid. They're already writing up his contract as we speak for when his PSG one expires.
Oh, well, that's it too. Yeah, once he gets a taste of like, you know, the superstardom, that's where that's the peak. Real Madrid, you know, maybe Barcelona, but I think Real Madrid is where, because like, look, the Vinicius Mbappe thing, that is going to fail. It's doomed. Like they're not going to figure that out. And even if they do, Mbappe is 26 and he has, you know, 7 years on him, so he'll get there eventually. But yeah, look, I mean, I hope he has a good long career. Maybe I'm just being a bit unkind saying he's going to turn into an arsehole. I know it. I can tell by the look at his face. He's going to blow it. But like, I guess the whole thing of this PSG team is like, they're really saying like it's a good news story. You know, they're not saying it's like, but they are kind of focusing on like, there's no egos. You know, like this is where you get the ego. You know, you win everything. You become the best in the world.
There's no ego because really they haven't earned it yet in the grand scale of things. Like, this is their first Champions League. I mean, they've won. This was a treble for them. I could easily see one of them, maybe Dembele, or I saw someone talking about Kvaratskhelia maybe getting a Ballon d'Or, which would be surely the first player to be transferred in January and win a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, I saw that as well, because they're saying, well, he surely qualifies for a Scudetto medal now as well.
Yeah, like he was a big part of that as well. So, I mean,
I saw that though. I think it's down to the club's discretion whether they give them the medal or not. Which, look, the club sold them.
Yeah,
you know, but they always do this where like they sell a player for 100 million. And they come out, yeah, the player came out and he said he hated the fans especially, and he couldn't wait to get the shithole. So nothing we could do. We had to sell him for 100 million. You know, like. I think the fans wouldn't enjoy that. Like, oh, well, hang on. He left. Was he getting a medal?
Yeah,
you know? McTominay is the guy. You know, we don't need Kvaratskhelia. You know, we have McBratton. What's the nickname he has? McBratton? I think it means brother in Italian or some of that. That's the nickname he has plastered all over Napoli streets. But yeah, no, it's a great side, and yeah, a lot of really young, exciting players. And Dembele, I mean, I think he probably won't lose around himself because he's been through the kind of, you know, young superstar, the world is yours, Mbappe shadows. And now he's like, all right, 28, he wins Champions League. And he's like, yeah, all right, I'm not going to get carried away with this because I see how grim it can be. You know?
This is probably the peak it's going to be. I mean, like I said, they just won the treble, their first treble. But like I said, a lot of young players. It happens to a lot of teams. You win a treble and the next season you disappear. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do? Do it again? You've just done it all. Like, you're not going to give a
in theory, like they definitely could. Like everyone's expecting Man City to be back and that Real Madrid will have a Galactico somewhere, and they've started that already. I'm pretty sure they got that guy from Bournemouth, the centre back. Don't know his name though. So
not very Galactico if you ask me.
Yeah, if it was, I'd know his name. But you know, it is kind of like you never know what's going to happen next season, but they are set up for it. But look, all you can say is they play a great band of football. And yeah, I mean, would Inter have won being a good news story? Maybe. But I mean, I think it's just like, it probably would have been a bad thing for Italian football to be rewarded with this, I guess, because like it's not that like PSG being rewarded with the Champions League, but like, look, this is how you do it. You just sit and wait around for a nation state to take you over, and then in 12 years and £2 billion later, you can be just like us. It's not exactly. I don't think there's a lesson here.
No, I will say there was one particular moment which I nearly winced at watching. I was like, oh, this isn't good for the game. The PSG owner, who's also on the board of UEFA, so he was one of the people shaking hands. So like he's one of the man who's in charge of the Champions League, obviously a very powerful man, also owns PSG. Him getting thrown into the air by his team, and I was like, oh, this is bad. This is not a good look, lads.
Well, again, they have no ego. They know exactly why they won, because this guy, he brought us here.
Owner.
Yeah. If they had lost run themselves, they would have thought that this is all me. It's like, why think you're here, idiots?
Yeah,
this is the guy who's got you all in the same place. Yeah, I mean, look, it's great.
Normally, you see the owner coming and like awkwardly shaking hands with the team. The team are like, "Sir," like they don't interact with him, but it's just like, throw this man in the air. It's like, he's changed my life. He's given me so much money.
Can you imagine Big Jim being thrown up in the air if United won the Europa League final? They probably were thrown up and then just not caught him. Just fucked him up in the air and walked away. Yeah. That is very American too. The owner coming out, lifting the trophy. So, yeah, I don't know if this means anything for the sport that isn't already true. I don't think it's like a turning point. It's just kind of like, it's been coming for a while, I guess. But, yeah, commiserations to Inter Milan. I'm sure they're getting it big time online. I'm sure the Italian internet is a rough place for Inter fan. A lot of accounts deactivated over the last couple of days, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, you'd imagine. I mean, they came very close to the Serie A with this team.
Yeah, they weren't a few weeks ago. They were on top of the world. Do you know what I mean? Like they could have won the league and potentially could have won the Champions League. They weren't far off it. Which again, it's Inter Milan. It's not like they are a PSG or one of these fucking gazillionaire clubs who just buy. So like they were very close to one of the most impressive seasons of all time. It just fell short. And then all you remember is the end of the season. You don't remember all the good, like, you know what I mean? This will go down as like, well, that's the worst day of my life as an Inter fan, you know what I mean?
Record-breaking final defeat. I think they were talking about it in commentary. The previous one was the 92 final where Barcelona got hammered by AC Milan. But Inter have gone one better with the 5 goals. I mean, that's the thing. It could have been like when Barcola came on, it was just like danced around them. It was like, oh, this is unfair. It really could have been 6 or 7, but they were queuing up for goals at the end. I mean, yeah, really tough for them. But I mean, like I say, they're not that far off in Italy, and they'd probably be fine, I'd say, in Serie A. I don't know if this is like the end of it for them. They might even re-sign Lukaku. Who knows?
Conte was making. Did you see he was making noise about wanting to leave Napoli?
I mean, why not? Go back to Inter, go to Juve. They just do kind of like in the Premier League. There was like the managerial merry-go-round of like the middle teams have like the Sam Allardyces, the Pardew's, those kind of players. But like in Italy, it seems that the top clubs like switch between Conte and Allegri and Zaghi.
And Lukaku and Dybala.
Yeah, they all got to go at it. So yeah, look, I mean, commiserations to them. It was pretty bad, but yeah, it's hard to remember a more one-sided final, because I know I mentioned the 2012 one, but this is a lot more one-sided than that even.
Yeah,
I think
so.
Yeah, it'll be a tough one to live down, but memorable for all the wrong reasons for Inter Milan. As I said, that is the kind of the big finish for the season, out with a bang, literally. I mean, where do we start with the season review, Will?
To dive into our Premier League review, and the official review, the official recap, we can get started by reviewing some Christmas absolutes we made. We made these literally, I think it was Christmas Eve we recorded this episode. We made some predictions for how the rest of the
Well,
season
I was drunk
go.
then. I was drunk. That's what that was. If like you can't hold that against me.
So we have some absolutes here. I didn't include all of them because a lot of them didn't even come close to true. So I've just skipped those.
You got to add them, and they're the best ones.
No, because
it's like the Gary Neville Carragher prediction start of the season. You see them knocking around?
Yeah,
Hilarious.
I have. And speaking of, that is the first absolute I have here. You absolutely guaranteed that Gary Neville will leave the overlap before the end of the season.
The overlap?
You thought he was going to have... Oh, no, sorry. He'll leave Sky Sports. Apologies.
Yeah. Well, I was close. Rio did.
Rio
It was
did.
TNT.
Yeah. He's left to focus on his podcast. So, the dominoes might start falling. Yeah.
We'll see. I think they're going to see how Rio gets on. He'll be the canary in the coal mine. See if it's like, okay, if Rio dies down there, maybe we should get rid of the podcast. Maybe it's a dying thing. But if he kind of flourishes, like, well, maybe we can let go of this fucking, the podcast that I'm contractually obliged to after every single game that I do as well.
That was one we had. Didn't happen just yet, but I'd say we'll extend the absolute maybe to next season. Another one here.
I was wrong, but it could change. I'll take the L on that one. But I mean, there's times that are changing.
Yeah, I followed that one.
Watch out, old media.
I followed that up with a similar one here, which looking back now, I don't think it's going to happen. At the time, I said Roy Keane will be cancelled. It was right after he'd made a few
he's getting brave.
Questionable jokes on the overlap. He was getting brave, but I actually think he's been on his best behaviour the last while. He's actually gotten a bit less controversial. Maybe someone had a word with him, was like, all right, stop making jokes about the women and stuff. Roy, you're going to get us in trouble.
Well, he had that explosion at Bruno Fernandes,
I mean, I don't know if it came back to bite him. I think it actually did encourage Bruno, which is probably, that's probably a good thing. I would say Roy would think.
I've seen people kind of have that same opinion, just in a much more calm way, and maybe one that makes a bit more sense, where it's like, yeah, look, Bruno is great, but if we could get 70 million from him and reinvest in the squad, then that would be better. And I know people are like, oh, well, where would we be without him? It's like, well, where are we now?
Yeah, exactly.
We do need to rebuild the whole thing. So maybe that's what Roy Keane should have said. Yeah. But instead he was like, he's a coward. He's a lazy bitch. I was like, whoa. This guy's only good. Just came at it from like a...
Where would they be? Oh, yeah, it was weird. And similarly, the Madison thing as well came back to bite him a bit.
Yeah, a bit. But again, what did he do? Scored one goal and then injured. So it's like he's actually almost proven right about that. But I mean, look, the whole thing was just, it's coming from a place of anger. That's where you get Roy Keane. It's not like he sat down, thought about this and worked out the numbers, And, every time a team loses, he diagnoses it with, they just didn't want this. The other team wanted more. It's like, it's not always that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's down to tactics.
It used to be that probably back in the day. That was probably it.
Well, there is always an element of like, there's a team that, does want it more, objectively before the game. Of course it wanted it. I wouldn't be where it wanted, but when it gets down to like the last, 10 minutes, are you really willing to like burst your gut to get out there? There is always that element in sport, but it's not always that. Yeah. Sometimes, like again, Inter Milan versus PSG, it's like they're just way better. I don't know if he was on any panel discussing that, but I mean that is the kind of time where it's like, yeah, that team's just better, But look, we're getting sidetracked again. Sorry, I'm trying to rewrite the past here of my.
Well, don't worry, Kyle, because this next one, this is one of yours, and we have our first winning absolute. Almost a double winning absolute.
Now, you see, I'm talking facts here. I don't do if, buts and maybes. I do absolutes.
It's La Liga based. Absolute.
Oh.
Yeah. I think Kylian Mbappé will be top scorer.
Wow. Is he far off? Probably.
And I think Atletico Madrid will win the league.
Oh, nice.
And I think, he'll reel in around Lewandowski. He'll get better as the season goes on. Lewandowski might sit down a bit. That's my absolute. And I think it'll all be in vain, and Atletico Madrid will win the league, and it'll still be a failure for...
Yeah, it'll still be... You should have scored more. What about the start of the season?
And people point to the 21 goals that Kylian Mbappé scores. And they go, what's his fault?
Yeah.
And it's not out.
Yeah.
So that's 3 absolutes in one.
That's a big one, yeah. Mbappé, top scorer in La Liga, but Real Madrid will not win La Liga, and Ancelotti will be sacked. That was actually a 3-parter, all correct. You did say Atletico would win the league. So 3 out of 4, pretty fucking good, though.
That's pretty good considering I haven't watched a combined 90 minutes of Liga all season. I think that's very impressive. I pulled that completely out of my arse.
I'm pretty sure you got that absolute just by looking at the top scorer table in La Liga. You pieced it together in your brain then.
I said, yeah, Lewandowski's good, but he is on the wrong side of 35, I think. He can't keep up this pace, was my thought process, you know, whereas Mbappe was like starting to figure it out, starting to fire, you know.
So that was a winner. That's one. And we followed that one up immediately with yet another absolute that came true. We got 2 right.
I do absolutes.
I've got a doubler here.
Yeah.
One is that I think this is the year it's going to happen. I think Spurs are going to win some form of trophy. Carabao Cup,
very
FA
good.
Cup.
Yeah.
They're nearly there in the Carabao. They will have to play Liverpool over 2 legs, which they could lose 17-0 on aggregate. But I never
would
know.
say 17-7.
Yeah. But I think he'll get there. Like Ange said, he always wins in his second season.
Oh, he tends to.
He didn't say what, but he does always. But then my second part, so maybe Ange Postecoglou's listening, he's buzzing with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ange will be sacked early next season. I think you win the trophy. You have this is amazing. You know, he's finally done it, but the league doesn't change, and it's suffering from success. It'd be like we could probably push on though.
You can't. If you win a trophy, Tottenham, you can't be sacked within the next year.
What if you win or lose 11 games in a row?
You said that. Wow.
I went out. I said this is going to be the year it happens. Now, I did say in the clip, I think the Carabao Cup is looking good for them. They got pummeled by Liverpool in that, but I did say they will win a trophy, and I followed it up with saying I do think Ange will be sacked shortly after. To which you replied, if you win a trophy with Spurs, you can't be sacked for the next year.
This is like looking the future back then. This is exactly what's happening right now. This is the conversation that everyone's having. It's like, you can't sack him. Yeah, time's a flat circle. You know, these things happen over and over again.
We nailed it. We nailed it with those. And the final absolute we made, one I made, that again, got right. And saying it now, it doesn't sound crazy, but you'll hear it in the clip, Kyle. You, at the time, couldn't even believe I was saying this.
You know, like if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle, but she doesn't, so she's not. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so I can finish off with my third absolute here.
Yeah.
And it's one that if you had said any other season, people go, well, that's like the worst absolute ever. Like, obviously. I think it's a bold one here. Man City will get top 4.
What?
I think they'll turn. They're only 6 points off. And those 6 points are off Nottingham Forest.
But when you're not winning, you're not winning.
Yeah, but Nottingham Forest can't win forever. No way.
Yeah.
Man City also beat Nottingham Forest 3-0 earlier in the season. So they can lose all of a sudden, you know what I mean, to a terrible team.
They can lose. Nottingham Forest are not unbeatable, folks.
So I just think, and I don't think anyone else is actually going particularly well. Like Bournemouth, I don't see them getting top 4, even though they're going well.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest, I see them slipping away. Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, they're the top 3.
Yeah.
I think City will get it. And I don't think it'll be such a disaster after all.
Well, look, in my defense, they were so bad. They couldn't kick snow off a rope. They looked like I know we've said it 100 times on the show. It was like the Monsters.
Yeah.
It was like someone sucked their footballing ability out of their bodies and they were walking around like idiots.
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense. I just couldn't see a way out of them. But as every year, Man City go through this like crisis and they're 3 points off top. Yeah. It's like, they've lost 11 games? How are they, because I guess no one reports on everyone else losing games. But yeah, I was wrong on that one. I got that one wrong.
And it's funny because that one, I had a really good absolute this year because that one, you say, well, like Nottingham Forest are so far ahead of them. And I say, yeah, but it'll finish Liverpool, Arsenal, City, probably Chelsea, which I think is close to how it finished up. Maybe Chelsea were finished fifth, but they all got top 4. You'll hear it all in the clip, Kyle, when you're listening back to the edited episode.
Make sure you play all these clips. This isn't edited, folks. Believe me, we wouldn't have the work ethic for that. This is all just
It's 10 o'clock at night. No, we're not making these up.
This is from the Christmas episode. All these, is it?
Yeah, from the Christmas Eve episode, which did terribly because we put it up on Christmas Eve, and then we obviously put up the Christmas episode, and people probably missed that there was an episode on Christmas Eve because they were all out drinking.
Well, listen, if you want to verify these absolutes, go back to the Christmas Eve episode, 24th of December, in case you're wondering what date it was. And yeah, listen back. It's all there in black and white. Wow. I mean, any more? What are the ones that are way off? Was it ones that were just like completely like nowhere near it?
I'll tell you, they were so way off. So I put these together a few days ago. They were so way off that I didn't even write them down or remember them. They were so like, well, that's just ridiculous. Obviously,
okay.
I think even when we were saying them, it was very clear that like this is us scrambling to have a third absolute, isn't it? And you were thinking of one as I was saying one, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That happens a lot on the show. Just not to cut across there, Will, but the table is Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea 4th, Newcastle 5th, Aston Villa 6th, Nottingham Forest 7th. I mean, you couldn't have got it more spot on.
I mean, now, this does not mean I'm some kind of footballing genius. I know everyone is bowing.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
No.
It
I
does.
know everyone is bowing to their phone as we speak. You know what this really means? The Premier League is a broken model. It's very predictable. The same things happen every year. The same teams end up in the same positions. Maybe there's a freak year where United and Spurs end up 15th and 17th or whatever. Guess what? Next year, they're probably going to be 8th and 6th. Do you know what I mean? It's back to the normal. It always goes back to normal.
Because it's one of those things that it's like a pet peeve of mine, Will. I mean, you know the movie Moneyball? You know, and anytime someone tries to buy someone from like a league that is in the top 5 leagues, like, oh, they're trying to moneyball us. Like, he said moneyball to describe the way the league is now.
Yeah.
You know, moneyball is the current system where you don't try and do anything clever. You just try and buy the best players you can with the money.
Without the money. It's the opposite of moneyball.
Yeah. What they did is not money. Yeah, that's the whole thing. So like, unless someone, and Brighton are obviously a good example of that, not that they're ever going to win the Premier League with this system, because again, the money ball is too strong, but like generally most professional sports, it's money ball. You know, it's like, yeah, Nottingham Forest are good, they have some good players, but you know, if they had more money, they would have bought Haaland, not Dan Burn. Chris Wood.
You can play Haaland back there.
But you know what I mean? The best teams will buy the best players unless you're going to buy someone completely. But again, there's even so much money ball that the diamonds in the rough really aren't diamonds in the rough. You know, it's so rare that you will find someone like that. That's, you know, because by the time they get to it at Borussia Dortmund or Atletico Madrid, they're discovered. You know, and they're the rung below the top teams, even in the Premier League. So it's like, it's just never going to happen, you know. So yeah, you can see that. Like when I look back, of course, Man City were going to finish there. They have too many good players.
Yeah, they spent.
You know,
one of the last moments of this season was Marmouche scoring a fucking screamer from a mile away. He rifled it into the top corner.
Yes,
that's a guy they bought in January for fucking €100 million. I'm pretty sure.
Goal of season. I know that is always drenched in recency bias, the goal of the season. You know, he was only bought in January, so you tell me that
it was up there though. It was unbelievable.
Well, I watched the match of the day competition. I prefer Matoma's goal, which was just like, that's again, he's the Moneyball guy, the guy who has the PhD in dribbling, you know, or whatever. But you know, anyways, I'm diverting the thing again. We're getting stuck in a conversation. We have a tight schedule here. We have segments. We have absolutes. Sorry, was there any more wild ones that didn't even happen? Or?
No, those were the most interesting absolutes, I'd say. I think for me, the most interesting one is the Ange being sacked shortly after winning, because that has now become the story of the summer. And it's so funny because it's, again, like we said, deja vu. It's the same thing every season. This is Ten Hag all over again. The delayed decision. Should we get rid of him? Daniel Levy is going to give it 3 more days to decide. Talking about Ten Hag made me physically ill. But you know what I mean? Yeah. It's the exact same thing of the like, fuck, that really throws a spanner. Like, we were about to sack him though. We shouldn't have let him play the final if this was going to be an issue.
Well, I mean, for old time's sake, should we check if Ange Postecoglou has indeed been sacked?
You know what? This could be the one. You know, one last time.
Tottenham tipped to appoint Man United legend as Spurs decide to sack, in quotation marks, Ange Postecoglou.
The hell does that mean? In quotation marks. They've decided to sack him.
Fabrizio Romano, Tottenham sack update from people close to Postecoglou.
Oh. He would know.
Oh, I'll click on this one, Will. I'll see. He's the guy in the know of these things.
With bated breath here, waiting to see.
Tottenham are expected to make a decision on Ange Postecoglou's future, in quotation marks, very soon. Journalist Fabrizio Romano has revealed.
What the hell does that mean?
No shit. No shit. They're going to make a decision very soon. That's not news.
I think I could do his job, honestly.
But internally at Tottenham, they're still assessing options. No final decision has been made, but it's going to come very soon by Daniel Levy. This is conjecture. This is all made up. Like, obviously, it's going to come very soon, and obviously, it's going to be made by Daniel Levy. Anybody could write that down, Fabrizio. Anybody could tweet that out.
I mean, I will say Ange has made it difficult for them. I'm sure you saw his clip from the parade last week where he said, the best. We'll let him say it.
I told them, and they laughed. All of them, heroes. And they did it all for you. Because you deserve it. This club deserves it. And I'll tell you something, I'll leave you with this. All the best television series, season 3 is better than season 2.
Well, look, I don't know, but I have some stats from season 2. Games 38, wins 11, draws 5, losses 22, points per game 1. He's averaging 1 point per game. I mean, they got what? They got less than 40 points. They were saved by how shit other teams were, really.
Now,
in another season and all that, and it's.
He did say they gave up on the league in January. He decided to fuck it off because he had 5 Europa League games to play or something.
Well, they lost 22 games. I don't know how many games they lost before January when he was trying. Look, I mean, I like Ange, or Angie, as he was once called. I don't know if you saw that clip going around. No. There's a clip of him in Australia. I'll put up on Instagram maybe, or X. And just it says Ange Postecoglou. I was like, huh. He dropped the E at one point. It's like, it's just Ange, actually. Angelo or Ange. Don't call me Angie. Sounds feminine. So I don't know why I'm kind of a pro sack Ange now, but I just this whole thing has pissed me off now. They'll make decisions soon. So yeah, look, as it stands, it's undecided.
Yeah.
I have seen Thomas Frank has been linked with it. He's kind of been linked with Man United for ages. He's kind of like, he's a good guy and he's got Premier League experience, but I don't think any of the top clubs really see him that way, to be honest. I think if they did, they would have pulled the trigger by now.
Yeah, they would have pulled the trigger. And I do think, yes, he's done very well with Brentford, but they're a really well-run club. Do you know what I mean? They are the Moneyball, or the opposite of the Moneyball club. They use a lot of data and analysis, and they find some hidden gems, or as hidden as they can be, and they run like a well-oiled machine. If he goes to Spurs, they're not going to do that. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like, who do you want to sign, Thomas? And he's going to be like, fuck, I don't know. He's going to look at who's available. And that's how these things always fall apart. Same if he went to Man United. So, yeah, I don't know if he's the guy that'll save Spurs. Ange as well. I mean, he had that quote, season 3 is better than season 2. Did you see the follow-up question when he was asked? And he said, do you know what? I thought about that a bit more, and I actually shouldn't have said that because, as people have been reminding me all week, a lot of the times one of the big characters gets killed off in season 3.
Oh, that's good.
He's one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not I don't know a lot about TV shows. I do know. I've watched a lot. I've consumed a lot of television, but I wouldn't be a seasons guy. I wouldn't have like a favorite seasons of The Sopranos. I just like the show,
Yeah. You're not coming into a show thinking here we go, season 2. This is where it really kicks off. Season 3,
Yeah, I'd have favorite episodes from a show, but I wouldn't be able to place in a season. Kind of, I'd like somewhere near the end or the beginning, one of those. But so look, I'm not one to say was the best season Mad Men season 3. I don't know, but I know they didn't kill off Don Draper at any point. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but
what, they didn't kill Don Draper?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think back. Was there any scenarios where he was in life-threatening situations? I think he was doing advertising, so I don't think so. I think he. Maybe professionally in danger, but not his physical health. Anyways, I'm getting awful sidetracked. It's late, you know.
Yeah, we're rusty.
No nonsense after dark, and we had a bit of an unexpected week off there. But yeah, I mean, what else do we have in our little itinerary, Will, that we had written out? McTominay. I guess we've touched on McTominay. I guess.
Yeah, we touched on McTominay, but we can also tie that into something else that we have written. It is pretty crazy to see the contrast between, as we talked about, players who've recently left Man United, the Antonys, the Scott McTominays, who are living it up and becoming club legends and desperately wanted. Sancho as well, just won the Conference League with Chelsea. A lot of success. The contrast of that and Man United's actual star boys who went straight after the season on a plane to Asia to play 2 friendlies against Hong Kong and the Malaysian All-Stars, one of the games which they lost, in what looks to have been one of the most embarrassing football tours in history. It started off, they had an open-top parade after finishing 15th and losing the Europa League, and it was followed up with being beaten by the Malaysian All-Stars, and then just so many pictures of Garnacho and Ahmad directly putting up their middle fingers towards the ticket-buying audience.
Giving the audience the bird.
I mean, I've never seen that before.
I mean, this is more of kind of like non-football people thinking like through an Excel sheet. Like, well, wouldn't it make sense just do it after the season? It's like, no, for many reasons. It would make way more sense.
They're miserable. They don't want to play football anymore.
But like the joke right themselves that like the tour was booked for when they won the Europa League, but like Big Jim couldn't get his deposit back. So while we were going, I don't give a fuck, you know?
You're doing the parade. The parade is happening.
The open top bus is booked, so you're going to sit in it and you're going to like it. You know, the deposit is gone for that, okay? 200, yen down the Swanee. I don't think so.
It's funny as well. Every picture, or even like any clips I saw of any of the matches or the tour, wherever they were in Asia, it must be very hot. All of the players are bucketing down sweat in every single picture.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely horrid out there for them. Like, they don't want this.
Well, I've never seen this. I mean, I'm sure it probably has happened at different times, but it's definitely not the norm to do it like the next week after the season because, I mean, for one, it's been a long season. They've played a lot of games getting to the Europa League final as well. So, I mean, it's a lot of miles on the clock. Two, even in any season, there's players who will not be there by the start of next season.
Garnacho apparently has been told by Amorim.
Yeah.
That came out after his tweets after the Europa League because they had another Premier League game still to go. At the first training before that, Amorim told Garnacho in front of the entire Man United squad, also this was leaked, I'm assuming by Garnacho, he said, hey, good luck finding a club, mate. I hope you can find one.
Which I think he will, I mean, he is decent, like.
Yeah, he's young.
But this, yeah, he's a star boy for God's sake, But anyways, the whole thing is like any season, there's going to be players who, listen, thanks for everything, but even if you win something, players end their contract. But like after this season, where the manager's been out, we're like, this is the biggest bunch of sucks that ever sucked. These guys suck so much. It's like, and then you're going to go on a tour and promote. Like, how are these guys going to promote the tour? They don't want to be there. The manager doesn't want them there. There's going to be wholesale changes. So it just doesn't make any sense. Like, look, it's the stars of Man United. It's like, no, it's not. Not for like, in 2 months it won't be. And everyone knows that because it's like, it's all over social media. So it does kind of smack of like, it's booked, lads. You're going. Like, just cancel it, Big Jim.
It's funny as well. Because these tours, they used to be the preseason ones and they started going to America and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd be playing like friendlies against Real Madrid in huge stadiums. The stadiums be sold out. And it's like, okay, I get this. You are trying to grow the brand of the club in wherever. I don't know if you saw this. So that Malaysian All-Star game, that was in a 40,000 seat stadium. I'll tell you now, Man United aren't playing many games in Malaysia. They only sold 30,000 tickets. So there was 10,000 empty seats in the stadium. So the whole point of the tour is like, yeah, you fill the stadium and you make money and people want to see you again and you might get some new fans out of it. even that, people in Malaysia were like, "I'm my fuck going to see them." Like, you know what I mean? Why would you want to see them? They've just disappointed you if you're a fan of them all year.
That's it. But if you give it like 8 weeks, people go, "Look, new season, start afresh."
Cool,
you know?
yeah. I want to see a meal turn us around.
Yeah, you want to see the new signings. You make up these ideas for good hope. But right after a terrible season where you don't win anything, it's like people are like, yeah, I just saw that. Why do I want to watch more of that? Yeah. You know, there's no delusion even available that you can say, well, maybe, you know, Cunha and Zerkski, maybe like a two-man up front. Like, there's nothing. It's like, no, this is going to happen. No one new signed. You know, I like Mason Mount. He seems like a nice guy, but I don't want to watch him play football. Yeah. You know, it's just, there's nothing. There's nothing there. So it was a mistake. It was awful. And yeah.
Many more to come, I'm sure.
Amron is still there. You know, he's under pressure, as the reporter pointed out. But yeah, I think we're starting into the transfer window. It's open now. It's slammed open. Has it smacked open?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I've never known. Obviously, it's a window, but like slammed shut implies that it's one of the ones that you like literally pull down and slam shut. But I've never thought it might be one of the like kind of like a door, and you pull it, you slam it closed.
Just slam the door. Yeah,
I've never known.
I mean, they've
never clarified.
It's not the same window. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you know, a window is like, is it a metaphor? I guess a window, a gap in time, a window in time. But then people go, oh, so I guess we can slam this window. It's like, no, it's not a physical window. It's not a real window. You can't. The time kind of closes, but there's no force involved. It's one of those things. Anyways, it's open. So yeah, look, this is the time to kind of relax and forget of all the bad things that happened to your team this year. And as I say, over the next 8 weeks, you know, slowly try and raise the floor and think about things that might help. That like maybe the new signings, and maybe we're closer than I think we are. You know, than I remember. I guess for the review of the season, the season review. I mean, McTominay, Ballon d'Or.
That'd be sick. I'd love that.
Genuinely, you know, when they have the top 10 votes, he'll be up there. There's always one's like, well, he had a good season. Yeah, he's going to get like 8th place in the Ballon d'Or, and Man United fans will never be allowed to forget it.
Yeah, Serie A MVP. He's got to be worth a few votes. So yeah, I mean, he's the story of the season, really, in more ways than one. Is Scott McTominay very easily leading Napoli to a title? Says a lot about him and his former club, I would say.
I mean, there could be a lot of players from the 2018 Man United squad in the Ballon d'Or top 10. Him, Lukaku. Surely Mkhitaryan will be recognised for his efforts, you know.
A pity award, maybe, yeah.
Just like, hey, look, man, that was some shift you put in.
That was tough. Fair play.
Yeah, Liverpool obviously won the league. Fair play to them. Second league in 5 years. Forget this 1 league, 30 years crack. 2 years, 2 leagues, 5 years. Only Man City have a better record than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're back. I think this is Liverpool officially back as a team that wins Premier League regularly. Because the first one is obviously like a big emotional release. The second was like, okay, we can do it again. It wasn't a one-off. You know, you've beaten the one season wonder allegations. I think this really puts them in a strong position, you know. I mean, they signed Frimpong there recently. Champions League, it's better than ever. You know, the new format worked perfectly. The two best teams got to the final.
And then they outmatched each other at every step.
Yeah. What about PSG losing 5 times in Champions League and winning it? That must be, I mean, it has to be a first.
I mean, yeah, it does really sum up the new format where it's like, oh, the early group stage doesn't matter at all. You don't even need to watch it, because like teams that are going bad, they can just switch it on for the last 3 games of group stage, and then they actually care once that's over.
Because I know one of the games they lost was against Aston Villa, which because they beat them so convincing the first half, they really did think it was like, you know, done. And like that is the thing about this PSG is like, as they got the final, you watch them like refine their whole thing. You know, like they managed to say, okay, we can now do this for an entire game and not switch off and not like think it's won. Like they tested out on like Aston Villa, refined it against Liverpool, got really close against Arsenal to like a perfect performance, and then like on the day against Inter Milan, like now this is the best we can be, and like all of our good players are playing well at the same time. It was a great thing to watch. I think they probably are the best team. I mean, sometimes it doesn't happen, but I think they probably are the best team in Europe this year, and they've won it. So I don't think there's anybody that could have beaten them. I think even Man City with Rodri, I think they probably were even better than that. So in that one kind of silver lining, at least the best team won, despite how the team was formed and the morality of all that, and then the civil rights and all that other stuff. Will just forget that for a second and take some solace in the fact the best team won. Yeah,
the final word on the season is, look, the best team won at the end of the day. What else can you say?
That's time to tell. That's what we've told you. The best team won the day. Liverpool, best team, they won. All that good stuff. We'll be back, I guess, Thursday, I suppose. Ultras only, of course. No Club World Cup, but I guess we'll probably have to watch a movie then.
It's movie time. Maybe we'll put up a poll tomorrow. Let the fans decide on Instagram. That's what we'll do.
Now, I was looking at a lot of movies, Will. There's a lot of actual, decent movies about football.
Is that what you think the audience wants?
There's a lot of funny ones.
Yeah, I think.
Well, this is what the poll is for.
Yeah, exactly. This'll guide the summer.
Yeah, we might do one for them, one for us, kind of a thing. One time we'll let them vote, and then the other time we'll watch Air Bud.
I can't wait for Air Bud. I'm also very excited. I think one we have to watch, because I think it is like the football movie. We've got to watch the Goal trilogy. I think it is.
Oh God!
Because I would say the first one's probably good, and I would say they get much worse as it goes on. But I'd say the cameos ramp up.
Yeah, we'll have like awards, like a Ballon d'Or ceremony after every movie, and best personal movie and that kind of stuff. It's gonna be so good, everybody. It's gonna be the best thing you've ever heard. People are thinking, this sounds terrible, lads. This sounds like the most. It's gonna be good, I swear. Just please give us a chance.
How about this? At the end of the summer, we do a big Oscars for Best Picture and Best Actor and blah, 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 blah. Best Goal in a football movie. How about that?
Oh, look, see? Are you excited, folks? Are you excited yet? This is the kind of stuff that we can come off the dome. Like, give us 5 minutes to write this down before the next episode. It's going to be even better. So that's all ahead of us. And of course, there's the transfer rumours. I mean, Kevin Kelleher is gone to Brentford this summer. Big move for him. All that kind of stuff. We'll be covering all the usual football stuff as well as the kind of the football movies and all that stuff. So yeah, look, we're looking forward to it. We hope you'll join us. You want to become an Ultra, get full access to everything we do this summer. Link in the description of this episode. Patreon.com/ultras. No, that's not right.
No nonsense pod. Just click the link. Who's typing it into the browser? Really?
I know. No one
that?
does that. Just click the link. There's a link in the description. So yeah, look, we'll see the Ultras on Friday. For everyone else, see you next week. Hope you had a great bank holiday weekend, and have a great week.
Yep.
Good luck.